Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome to Our Perspective. It's great to have you all. Our Perspective is a venue where we come together. This webinar is it's purposefully designed to encourage founders, new founders, and all founders. Bringing in special guests to come in and speak and to encourage each and every one of us. So at this time, we have a very special guest. Well, he cannot be introduced. We all know him. He's like I was saying a while ago, he's one of those senior men in the ONPASSIVE leadership. So it's great to have Jeffrey Morlock with us. So Jeffrey, without any delay, I'll just let you to start off right now. So let's just welcome Jeffrey right now. Thank you, Jeffrey. Take it away.
Well, wonderful, wonderful. And congratulations to everybody that's on this webinar. You are part of something that is phenomenal, part of something that's going to sweep across the globe like nobody's business. And I'm telling you, I am excited to be here with you and for you. And I'm looking forward to some of the discussion that we can have this morning, because, ONPASSIVE almost demands us to get in and get involved, because you know what? This is not going to come around again. It's not going to happen again. And the journey is as big as a part of anything that we can ever do. And once we start looking at these timelines that Mr. Mufar's got coming out, and we start seeing exactly the activity and the circuit that he's going to be running and the things that he's going to be bringing up and pulling forward as we move into ONPASSIVE and as we look toward that finish line he talked about, life is just going to get really exciting. And if you're not involved and if you're not in it, you're going to get a little left behind and probably be a little confused, because he's going to be moving at light speed. So I'm not real sure about what you want to talk about this morning. So if you guys can give me a little bit of guidance, if there's a question or a projection that you want to talk about, let me know, and just that'll kind of wind me up and get me going.
Yeah, just like what I said, I think I communicated with you your perspective of the finish line, and I think you just hit it on the spot. Like, it's time to get families and those who are interested in. So maybe you can touch on that. How do you see the finish line going forward from now?
Okay. Yep. Absolutely. I suppose first and foremost, we need to know it's all about our mindset and where we're going inside our own heads and how we're going to flesh this out for us personally. And that's what's going to make the corporate activity and everything seem like that big ball of wax that we know is going to be rolling down toward the finish line. And by that, I mean that if, and forgive me a little bit if I kind of weave in and out of things, because when you're unscripted, my mind goes several different directions. So I'm allowed to hit touch points and then come back and kind of meld this whole thing together. But the overall perspective of what we're looking for is what I want to try to get out to us so that we can have the discussion about it and talk about it on this webinar. So the first thing I think that I'd like to bring up is to be mindful of where Mr. Mufar's mindset is, what his mindset is, and how he plans and how he sees ONPASSIVE going forward. Because as the leader of this entire thing, his leadership is what we're actually falling back on and looking forward to as we move into this whole thing. And he has said it's really about the mindset. Now, the other night he was talking, I think it was with Julie in California. Julie had a webinar. And again, Julie, if you're out there, I'm so sorry I missed it. I really, man, I've just been really busy, but boy, that's one I wish I'd have been on. And Mr. Mufar was saying, hey, look, it's not only about us getting the idea that we're going to get something and then pass it on. It's the idea of having the mindset that the wealth is already there. It's out there. It is for us. We can grab it. We can understand up here that it is for us. And so we can start acting like we've already got it. Now, I know that sounds a lot like, well, it is. It's a lot like the law of attraction, or it's a lot like the sowing and reaping that you read about in Bibles. It's talking about giving to others and expanding outside of ourselves so that we can help others and help humanity, and help others prosper and mature and become more than what they are, or even maybe even just bring them up to where we are. That's what it's about. And we don't have to wait until we get it to be able to do that, because even Mr. Mufara agrees that it's about the mindset and it's about your intention of having enough to be able to do whatever you want to do with the people in your, he would say, universe. Those people that orbit you, which is your friends and your families and your immediate locations. It's going to be those that are outside, maybe people that that are working in your working community or in your home state or your hometown. Those people that you have a direct influence on, those are the people that the founders and the members of ONPASSIVE are going to be able to influence the most and help the most. And that's the whole idea, is to get in our heads that this is coming, and we know that it's coming. And when it does, things are going to start happening pretty fast. The marketing is going to be kicking off, and we are going to start seeing the wealth and the prosperity and the abundance that we've been talking about for 3 years now start to float into our wallets so that we can fill our tank. And then once the tank is full, it naturally, by virtue of the benevolence that we have in our own being, right? I mean, we're all created in the image of God, and he is a creator, and he is benevolent, and he wants the best for everybody and everything, and not necessarily to take it all into ourselves and try to hoard it, but rather to give out. And his promise is quite literally, I dare you, see if you can outgive me, because the more you give to others, the more I'm going to bring back to you. And that has always been Mr. Mufara's message. I mean, from day one, he says, if you will take value and put value out into the universe, out into your community, out into your family, out into anybody and everywhere and everything that you can, then just by nature alone and the way that God has created things, that value is going to come back to you probably tenfold. And he dares you. I think it's somewhere in the book of Isaiah. Says, I dare you. See if you can do it. See if it doesn't come back to you. And you know what? You will have everything put into your cup and pressed down and overflowing. And that's the ONPASSIVE message. It is, quite frankly, that we do not have to wait until it is here, right? Dr. Joe Dispenza, man, I'm telling you, if you ever get a chance to read any of his books, something he says that is so phenomenal is right along these lines. And it is, quite frankly, that you don't have to wait to feel loved to love. You don't have to wait to feel like you're rich to get rich. You can feel that way, and you can put that intention out, and you can match that intention with the emotion. What will it feel like to have, $20,000 in the bank? Or what would it feel like to have the income, $5,000 a month coming in regularly? What would that feel like? Or whatever it is in your dream, what is it that you want to accomplish? And what is it that you want to see done in the world to help humanity? What would it feel like to already have that? Because when you start getting the intention and you start feeling like you've already got that, that's when it's going to come to you. It's already out there, in the, and I go back to the Bible quite a bit because I was raised with the Bible. My guess is, if I was in the Middle East, or if I was over in Tibet, or if I was anywhere else, I'd probably be raised with whatever their fundamental beliefs are. So I go back to the Bible. And in that, God tells us, ask and you're going to receive it. Knock and it's going to be open to you. Seek and you're going to find. And that's the same thing here is. And he says, I will guarantee you, if you will follow my precepts and you will do what I'm telling you to do, then everything you want is going to come right behind you in a wake. But you got to do that first, because once you start getting the mindset that you know that there's enough abundance and value out there, there's enough for everybody. And the beauty of this all is that we're going to win a lot bigger together. And that's Mr. Mufara's message. Hey, we're all connected. We're all doing this for the greater good. It's all for mutual benefit. And as much as we want each and every one of us to prosper and grow, live in abundance, live in love, live with that compassion and that compassionate action that we're putting out there, as much as we want that for ourselves, when we turn around and put that out, right? When we expand our paradigm to include those people that are around us, man, that's when the magic starts to happen. And there's a lot going on with ONPASSIVE that's exactly that. And that's one of the messages that Mr. Mufara had the other night when he said, look, it's not about just us. It's about us lifting up those people around us that can't do what we can do. And ONPASSIVE is putting each and every one of us, the founders, in an incredible position that nobody else has ever done. Nobody else has thought about it because nobody else has the heart and the resources and the will, right? The purpose of will, the purpose-driven life, if you will, to do this like Mr. Mufara is doing. And that's all because of everything that he's done in the past has led him up to this. Just like everywhere that we have been, everywhere, Lynn, that you have been, or Peter, that you have been, or any of you here, everything that we've ever done has compounded and built on your life to bring you to this moment, which means that you are more than able to handle what is happening and where we're going. And you've got a heart that's already ready for this to happen. And that's part of how we do the business in ONPASSIVE, is making sure that every one of us are together, making sure that we understand, you know what, this is happening, whether we do it or not. ONPASSIVE is making it happen for us. Now, I've said in the past that there's about 95% of the work is going to be done by ONPASSIVE. And that's simply because there is so much going on that we'll make sure that the way things unfold and the things that happen, those things are going to be to our benefit, to each and every one of our mutual benefit. And we are, as founders, I mean, you look at that number, man alive, we are coming up at 1 million founders. Did you ever think that 2 years ago? I remember it was like a year and a half ago. I said, you know what, I can see us doing 1 million. I can see it. And then 6 or 8 months ago, I started putting in videos. We're hitting it. I mean, we're going, and you can see it. And the more that we can see these things, the more Mr. Mufara uses the word confidence. He used it the other night. He said, you know, if you're wondering why I've got so much confidence, it's because I know that this is happening. I know that this is the way we're going. And I know that we're all going to do it. And you all need to know this is a done deal. So even if you individually backed out of ONPASSIVE for a month and came back in, we would still be rolling. You wouldn't, you'd miss a few things. So I'm asking you, don't do that. Get involved. We want to do that, right? But it's not necessarily about the money. It's about the benevolent pursuit that we've had as individuals and as a corporate entity, right? What we want to do for the greater good. Because when you start giving out and when you start with compassion and you start lifting those people up that have less than we do, right? You bring them up to our level, and then we all start rising. It's kind of like the what I call the economic, the tide of economics. You know, when you've got the port and you've got all the ships. Well, when the tide comes in, all the ships on the water all go up with the tide, and that's exactly how it is with ONPASSIVE. As we move in and the tide of ONPASSIVE comes up, every one of the founders are going to be lifted, and we're going to be lifted right along and ride high on that tide. And as the founders go, so goes the rest of the world. And now that's a big statement. If you think about that, as the founders go, so go the rest of the world, because we're going to be 1 million strong, if not more, which means that we're going to be about 1 every 200 square miles, if you kind of average that out on the earth. And if every one of us are living in abundance and we've got a benevolent heart that says, you know what, I've got people in my area that need, and everybody's doing that. I mean, 200 miles, you can drive 200 miles in a day. So you can touch a lot of people, a lot of ways. And it's not just through abundance. It's not just through your benevolent mindset or your benevolent attitude. It's also through a ecologic and an economic touch point that you've got. You can give to the people around you and your family and your communities. You can give to them in a very real way, in a couple of different ways. One of them is you're going to be able to give them abundance. You're going to be able to make a path toward abundance available to them, whether it's through charity, whether it's through, the oblast, or whether it's through all the products, or whether it's a direct contribution for the money and the wealth and the abundance that you pull in through your wallets, or whether it's even more importantly, what's in your heart and your mind, the benevolent understanding that as I do this and you show these people how to be compassionate, they in turn become compassionate. Just as you learned compassion from Mr. Mufara, then we are teaching compassion through our efforts. And these people, again, will go out and they will do. So you can see the magnitude of what we're starting here, the magnitude of what we're a part of. But it's a whole lot bigger and a whole lot better than what you might even think. It's like, man alive. I'm going to change tracks for just a little bit and let everybody know. Go into the back office. We've been talking with Mr. Mufara. I know I started talking to him like 6 weeks ago, saying, hey, I'm having a real hard time posting in the back office. And it's not a complaint. It's just, are you aware? And he had me go out and send out an email. And so we got lots of people saying, yeah, me too, me too, me too. So he got the people on it. It's been fixed. The community, you should be able to post with no problems now. We got that the other day. He said, okay, it's ready to rock. So go in, check it out. Make sure that you're using the back room. Make sure you're using the community in the back office. That is going to be a huge, huge thing for us as we move forward, because we really do want to try to get away from the Facebooks of the world and get away from the, we want to communicate with ourselves without getting out there and getting crazy in the world. But another thing is there were, as we move forward and we get into the soft launch or the VIP launch, semi-launch, what they're calling, I think the VIP launch now, or the semi, I think it's VIP. I don't know. I lose track sometimes. But there was a lot of folks that was wondering about the wallet and that sort of thing. You really don't have to worry about that. Know your customer, or what Mr. Mufara calls the KYC, is really not an ONPASSIVE thing. It's not integral to ONPASSIVE. So that means that if you've got lots of accounts, I mean, I've got people in my team with 10, 15, 20 accounts. I've got 10, 15, 20 accounts myself spread out all over the place. But you will have a wallet for each and every one of those. And you can manipulate, or you can transfer between those wallets anytime. Doesn't require any special ID or anything. If you can access the account, you can turn the wallets in any direction you want. Now, I say that to say this, that the only time that KYC, or the only time you're going to need to prove identification, is when you move your funds out of ONPASSIVE. So if I've got 100 accounts, as long as I keep it within ONPASSIVE, then I will be able to move those accounts to any wallet I want to. But as soon as I take it out of ONPASSIVE, i.e. to my bank, the bank is going to require that I've set that all up and give the proper information. So I know that was out there. I got emails about that earlier, so I just happened to think about that. Let's see, where was I? Do you have any specific question? Does somebody have a question or an avenue that they want to go down on? I know Lynn, and Lynn, you're my kind of go-to girl here, because I know that you're really involved with a lot of things, and I know that your mindset is up there and your perspective is wide. Is there a topic that I can talk about or address directly that you're aware of, or even Peter or Terry or
something you just spoke about, mindset, and then you were talking about value. And I think value can be looked at like the company in itself. Company has value, the products has value. And I think you just mentioned about the founders, and I've never seen that, how founders have value when ONPASSIVE launches and how they can be an impact to the world. And I think many founders don't realize that.
Wow. Wow. You hit the proverbial nail smack dab on the head there, Peter. Thank you. Thank you for bringing me back full circle on that. Let's talk about you. Let's talk about the founders. Let's talk about the people that are right now in the only position that ONPASSIVE has even made available. Let's think about that for a minute. I mean, really think about that. We have got a company that's got some 50 or give or take departments, several dozen departments. Each of these departments is able to stand alone as a unicorn company. Now, if you're not sure what that means, it just means that we're expecting every one of these companies to have an annual valuation of $1 billion with a B dollars or more. Okay, and that's in my opinion, that's not a lot to look forward to. I think that they're going to be a lot more than that, right out of the gate. I mean, day one, right? As soon as we launch and we open to the public, day one, you will be able to calculate us as a multi-billion-dollar business. Now, the only people right now in that business are founders. That's us. That's you, me, and 900 and a bunch thousand more. We'll hit a million without a doubt. Yeah, I mean, that's just a given, just like everything else is. But ONPASSIVE was created for the founders. Now think about it. You know, Peter, thank you so much. As a founder, we have been given, if I can use the phrase, the keys to the kingdom. Okay? As a founder, we have been provided everything that we need to produce wealth and abundance and prosperity in our lives. Now that's on the left side, that's on the physical side of things. Now, in a more esoteric or a more spiritual or a more unseen way, we've been given the tools mentally to understand benevolence, to understand compassion, and to understand what compassionate action is. Now think about this. We've got it in both ways. For the money and the products and that value, we've got an excellent leader that we emulate in Ash Mufareh, right? He's already there. He knows it's coming. He's saying, hey, this is what we're setting up for you guys. This is how we want you to have everything that we've got, so that on the other side, you can go and guess what? Now we're going to show you compassionate action is where it's at. It's not the old science. I remember when I first got this in my brain 2 years ago, and I came out with the first video that said, hey, everybody, look, hey, we need your attention. There's something going on here that's never happened before. The old science that says this won't work. The old science that says it's in it for me. You know, the old science that says I take what I can get and I hoard it up and I don't let anybody have it because it's all about me and what I want, and the rest of you are just squirrels trying to get a nut. Well, guess what? The new science says, no, it's not. That's not how it works. It's really about connectedness. It's really about helping others. It's really about reaching out and doing what's right because it's right. And that's the ONPASSIVE model that Mr. Mufareh came out with. Now, in his mindset, that's the way it should be, and that's the way it's always been. And that's simply because in the past, he has had the experiences that we've had. But my guess is he's had them a whole lot thicker, harder, faster, sweeter, redder. Man, you know, if I lost 5,000 on the internet, I bet you he's lost 50,000 easy. I mean, he's been beat up just like we have. And that's what's given him the mindset. So you know what? That's no way to be. Everybody is out there getting, well, they're not being treated fairly. He talks about injustices, and for things to really be made better and to to address the injustices out there, this is what we have to do. We have to teach connectedness. We have to teach compassion. We have to teach how to do compassionate action, which just means think and look and treat others as you want to be treated. If somebody has been out there and they have, for whatever reason, perhaps they've said a lie to you, right? I mean, and this is grassroots. If somebody's lying to you, instead of going after them and trying to debase them and blame them and just be mean to them, how would you rather somebody treat you in that circumstance? Because, you know, perhaps it's just they don't understand. Perhaps they've been hurt, and you've heard before, hurting people hurt people, right? So when you get hurt by somebody, generally that means that person is hurting and they're just acting out and they're not even aware of what is going on. So when we talk about compassionate action, we're saying understand where these people are coming from, understand where they are, and help to lift them to where you are. And that could be anybody. I mean, I look up to Mr. Mufara. There's some leaders that I look up to that I try to emulate on a daily basis. And I know on that circle, there's people behind me on this circle, what we call life, that look at me and they try to emulate me, and they say, wow, you know, he's got some good ideas. And if I can put those into practice, then I could be more like him. And then when they become more like me, they start looking at the same people I'm looking at, so we can be like them. And that's the way it goes. Every one of you founders, everybody here listening to this, anybody that's going to listen to this video is in the same circle of life. We're all on the same circle. We're just at different spots. So I may be at one spot. Somebody may be where I was 3 months ago or 5 years ago, just like I am where somebody was 3 months ago or 5 years ago. What we need to do is understand that as compassion-led people, and I'm talking founders, that we do what's right because it's right. And in doing this, that's how we lift humanity. Now, getting back to the position of founder, ONPASSIVE is massive. You all know that. We've got these massive departments that make the company. They're all integrated. Everything is done for us. It's a done deal. And when we say it's a done deal, that means you can count on it. It's coming. Who says that? Chris does. You know, Mr. Hey, right? Mr. Chris Johnson. It's coming. It's coming. You hear him. He's almost got a gavel. Boom, it's coming. You know, that's the judge, right? In the courtroom. It's coming. Bang, so decreed. It's coming. You don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about the mechanics of it. It's coming. What we do want to do, though, is understand what we've been given so that we're not going to abuse it, so that we're not going to take it for granted. And that is that the Go Founders platform houses founders, and that those founders, you, me, everybody, that is an absolute elite position. It's an elite club. There are not going to be any more founders once we actually launch or open to the public. Kaput. We are done taking on new founders. The number we have is the number that we will have in perpetuity, forever, for generations. And those founders are going to be known globally. Your name, you might not think so now. You're like, well, I might be the founder with nobody in my team. Guess what? That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter, because you are a member. You are a founder in the only position that's available now, and that's in ONPASSIVE. Your name is going to be known. You're going to have more people know who you are in the coming years than you've ever thought was possible, or maybe even you ever thought lived on the planet. Who knows? But it's an elite position, and you are in a great, great position to do a whole lot of good. And the more good you do, the more you lift humanity, the more you will be known, and it will be a self-feeding process. And you may, if you're like me, or a lot of us leaders, a lot of us founders are like, I know this is coming. I'm not too worried about me and my family. I'm already projecting. I think Peter Sewer, he's looking at what, homeless in Michigan, and Chris Johnson. I mean, there's a lot of folks that have a lot of dreams that are already out in front of them, right? That's what they're looking at. They're like beyond. I loved it. The other night we were talking with Mr. Mufar, and the whole idea was why are we still talking about old founders? Okay, it hasn't launched, it hasn't gone online, but it's a done deal. We're so far in front of that. We're so far ahead of that that we're talking lifting humanity in a global scale, and all these little things, what I call incidentals, which is why I usually don't have hardly any questions on any webinars, because they're talking about stuff that I know is already done in my head. It's done. It's done. I can count on it. I know that it's happening. I know that this is coming, you know? So I don't even worry about those. What I'm thinking about now, and what all the founders should be thinking about now, is what happens after we've already got it. Are we already starting to build our dreams? Because we're going to be the ones left standing when ONPASSIVE launches. It's going to be the founders. The founders are going to carry the crux of the mission of ONPASSIVE, and that is going to be absolutely phenomenal. And when you start thinking about how many people are going to be brought into the ONPASSIVE family, when you start looking at the customers, when you start looking at the resellers that come in, even there will be an opportunity for those resellers to be very successful. You may even see it's a doable thing. You may even see some customers come in that they're marketers, maybe they're old school marketers, right? And they have 20, 30,000, 40,000, 50,000 people in their marketing teams. They may be able to bring them right in, and immediately they have instant wealth. They may do better than some founders, but long term, you will not do and be able to do more or better than the Go founders than founders will, simply because the marketing that's going to take place for you, the things that you have been given by Mr. Bufara and the whole of ONPASSIVE, which is complete and total control of your life and your future. By that, I'm simply saying that, think about this. Once we launch and we go into these marketing campaigns, regardless of whether you got anybody in your team now or not, at the end, by the end of the first year, to my opinion, we'll have well over 100 million customers, and it's just going to keep going. Your team's going to be building. They're going to be building you deep, and they're going to be putting customers, and for every customer that comes in, they're there. They're paying a monthly subscription every month, day in and day out, and they're using products, or maybe they're reselling or whatever. But for every customer that comes in, it goes in your team, you're getting paid for. And that's forever. And you've heard Mr. Bufara, this company is not going to do anything but grow. It's already made provisions for that. It's already taken into account the first few years. It's already got phases and products, and I mean physical products, things you ain't heard of. Oh man, and that's just what we're doing here in the real world. In the real world, I've got something that, if you don't think I'm totally crazy, would blow your mind if you think about it. Because whatever you think it is right now, what I can tell you, it's going to be so much bigger, so much better, and so much broader than you would even imagine, simply because we have such a benevolent creator that is, believe it or not, looking out for you, looking out for me. He's watching what we're doing, and he's loving it, and he's got a plan in place that as soon as we start with that compassionate action, bam, things are going to explode. And maybe in a little while, if we have time, I'll explain that to you, but it's a little more esoteric, but you're going to get it. You're going to understand it, because I can tie it in with the sciences of the world, and I can tie it in with the things that are going on right now globally. You guys have probably heard some of this stuff that I've talked about, but this will be a little different, where I talk about right now, we're in a little chaos with the world, you know, with the politics and all of that, the medical, all of that. Well, everything is in a state of flux. It's all a state of change. We're in it. ONPASSIVE is riding the crest on that wave, if you will. It is the first biggest conscious business on the planet with a global reach. And guess whose its fingers are? The founders. That's why you're important. That's why you're here. Now, whether you're here as a single founder with no team, or you're somebody like some of these big dogs that have thousands and thousands and thousands, a founder is a founder. It's a founder, period. So whether you get in now or whether you get in during the VIP launch, doesn't matter. You're a founder. you're entitled to the founder benefits. Doesn't matter if you've got one person or 5,000 people or 500,000 people. You're a founder entitled to the founder benefits. And that's what ONPASSIVE has done for us. And that's what they're going to continue to do. So life is going to get good for you. So just understand, well, no matter where you're at, you are going to be successful. You are going to be lifted on the economic tide of ONPASSIVE, and you are going to be able to pass that on as you want, as you will. There's nobody making you do anything. But as you realize and are thankful for what you've been provided, you will, through your natural compassionable ability, start giving out and start doing more and start blessing those around you. And when you do that, oh, the goodness that's going to flow into your life is going to be multiplied exponentially. And that's kind of what I can talk about too. So understand that as a founder, you are at the pinnacle of where the whole world is going. Okay, this whole higher consciousness thing, which is brought on by compassion and compassion, that's us. That is you. That's all of us. That's ONPASSIVE. And I'm telling you, you are blessed, and it's just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. I hope that wasn't too wordy. You get me going, you know.
Yeah, well, that's a very good point you're making. There's a new word you just meant. Founder is a founder, right? I like that. Now, I think you really touch on a very important point, and I think in every company, it builds on a good foundation, okay, and ONPASSIVE, and I would refer that as leadership, as the foundation. Now,
well, you're absolutely right, and that leadership comes from Mr. Mufara and his setting of the ONPASSIVE. It's what I call the ONPASSIVE class standard, right? ONPASSIVE is in a class of its own, and he has set a standard that is top, the very best, period. And he's done it time and time and time and time again. He doesn't want to settle for something that's mediocre, and he has said it. Founders need to be above average. ONPASSIVE is not average. ONPASSIVE has never been done before. And that foundation that you're referring to right now has been built upon that class or that standard of excellence. So you're absolutely right on. You're right on. That standard of excellence is what's going to hold the building of ONPASSIVE.
Yeah, and also with the leadership that he has built around. Now, pointing that back to Catmull, right? I like to add another letter included in Catmull. This is just my creation, my invention, just tonight, Jeffrey has made me think of this. So you created this, okay? CATMOL. We have to put L at the bottom or beside O, because leadership is everything. Leadership drives this company. Leadership is causing the tidal wave or internet wave or whatever we call it. It's whatever is in ash is rubbed onto you, rubbed onto Mike Ellis, rubbed onto everybody, rubbed onto Lynn and everyone who is involved in the leadership level. So I was thinking, while you were talking, I said, wow, we have to put letter L at the end, so it will be Catmull, so it's L at the end. So I think leadership is a very important part that drives the company.
I love that Catmull. When it first came out, I'm like scratching my head going, what is this? But the more, it's so easy to use. I mean, if you think about it, it's something, he's absolutely right. When you think about us having a complete system, got everything we ever needed, right? I mean, it's complete, to be sure. There's nothing missing and nothing lacking from this system. It's totally automated, which means that it's got a digital infrastructure for finances that runs through it, automation, which is done by the AI, which runs through it. So it's all connected. It's kind of like in the parable where I said, we've got pathways to all the orchards. That's exactly, we've got pathways from one program to another application to another department, and they're all intertwined like a big ball of wine, and you don't know, big ball of yarn, and you don't know, exactly where they're going, but they're all connected, right? That's the automation part of it. And part of the automation is all of the traffic that brings in all of the customers, and through the customers and subscriptions, that's where you're getting your money. But you're right. All of this has to do with, and is part and parcel of the leadership that he has first put in and around and below and into the foundation of ONPASSIVE. And he has raised up. Look at the leaders here. Look at the leaders here. Look at the leaders that he is. And he's not kidding. You've got world-class leaders in ONPASSIVE, and we haven't even launched. This is unheard of, unprecedented. It's phenomenal. This is something that is happening. And you can take heart in this. ONPASSIVE is not only just big in ONPASSIVE of itself, but when you get the global scope, what's happening in the world and what's going on with humanity and the changes that are happening, that gives you the perspective right there. Because ONPASSIVE is a ball, is an entity. It's a little a power ball, if you will, within everything else that's happening. So the change that's happening in the earth, in the world, in our reality that we see, it's drawing these sorts of energies like Mr. Mufara's heart compassion. Oh, let me tell you this. I got to tell you, you guys, I'm going to see if I can get you to understand this. I think Lynn and some of you that are more, you're gonna love. Let me put it this way. Everybody knows about the Mayan calendar, and back in 2012 when everybody was freaking out thinking the world was going to end, right? And trust me, this is going somewhere. I'm not trying to get zodiac or anything weird, because I love science, and this is firmly based in the science. And this has to do with how ONPASSIVE operates, whether it was on purpose or what. It's compassion brought it out, but this is all about a system in place that God has put in place for compassion. So bear with me a second. This is going to get a little interesting for you, I think, but you're going to go, wow, because when I tell you that this is going to go so big that you can't even, it's going to be multiplied exponentially outside of what you understand with ONPASSIVE. This is why. And this is where I'm coming from when I say that. And that's why I'm like, I don't even have time to look at the small stuff anymore. This is going to get so big. Now, think about this. The Mayan calendar, everybody knew was ending. They're like, oh, we're running out of time, right? And something's going to happen. And the reason they said that was because the Mayan calendar, the long count of it ran for 5,125 years, 5,125 years. That was coming to an end. But there wasn't another one starting, or it wasn't recorded as one would start, where they had recorded the last 5, right? So you've got 5,000 years come and gone, 5,000 years come and gone, 5 times in a row, and then it ends, and then everybody's going, oh, it's freaking out, the world's coming to an end. They didn't chart this. Well, be that as it may, it's just like our calendar, right? It runs out in December, and nobody thinks the end of the year is not going to start over. Just get another calendar. The big thing here is that ending of the 5,125 years coincided with another bigger ending of a cycle of 5,630 years. So they round up and say a 26,000 year cycle. Now they make it sound really woo-woo, if I can use that so technical term, right? They make it sound like it's just all spiritual and there's no science, which is wrong. Now that 26,000 years, everybody's heard about what we call the precession of the equinox, right? That's a really hard to understand kind of thing. Oh, precession of the equinox. Ooh, that's a lot of woo-woo magic and stuff. No, it's just a name given to what the Mayans saw as our Earth's wobble. And when I say wobble, I mean, if you think of the axis of the Earth with a stick through it, right? And how we're kind of turned a little bit. We're not straight up and down in space. We're turned so that the stick is kind of at an angle. When the Earth rotates, it causes that stick to kind of go like that at the top. So it's the axis. It's a wobble. It just wobbles a little bit. That's called the precession of the equinox. So there's nothing mysterious about it. It's just a weird name. And the reason they call it the precession of the equinox is because when you're going through the 26,000 years it takes from the Earth to point, right now, the Earth's axis, that stick that goes through it at the angle, points at the North Star Polaris. Well, in 12,000 years, it's going to go this way, and it's going to point toward, I think, Vega. And then another, 12 and a half or 13,000, right? And another 13,000 or so, it's going to point back. So that's the wobble. It takes 26,000 years for it to go the full, I'll do a video about this and show it. It's kind of weird to try to explain it. But long story short is that 5,100 years came to an end at the same time the 26,000 years come to an end, which is huge, absolutely huge. That's the first time in modern humanity that this has happened. Now, that is huge simply because of certain alignments in the galaxies, and that's kind of, I won't go into there because that's a bunch of woo-woo that it's like you just don't need to know. What we do need to know is that what happens at this period, when the two of those end together, then what also happened is the Earth has moved into a position in the Milky Way, in our galaxy, that has put us in a new field of radiation. And it's not bad, it's just a new field of energy. It's a higher frequency energy. This energy has to do with and affects the crystalline grid on the Earth, the magnetic grid. And if you go back and you look at right at the turn of the century, the magnetic grid has changed a lot. And the magnetic grid affects us and our consciousness. And all of this energy is getting us to think higher, which means we're becoming more compassionate. I know this is kind of weird, but it all fits. I'll have to explain it in the video because it's truly fascinating when you get to the science of it. So our frequency, when people say, oh, the frequency of human consciousness is right, it just means that we're loving more. We're becoming more compassionate. That's all that means. I mean, you can put all the words you want to it, but basically that's what it is. And the magnetic grid and the crystalline grid are all being affected, just like the ionosphere is being affected by this new energy. Now, when you have the 26,000 year cycle that stops in conjunction with the 5,100 year cycle stops, means we're starting to go back the other way. That gives us change. So it's not the same. It's not the same energy. I mean, all of the great ages, what we call the 5,125 years, the great ages, every one of those are associated with cataclysmic occurrences, with catastrophic floods and earthquakes and all sorts of stuff every time one of those ended. So everything is there that says, oh, that should happen this time too. And that's what people are looking at, the end of the world. And you saw the movies, right? And all that. But no, because it happened at the same time, we're now in this new energy, and that new energy allows for change. So we're not going to get more of the old. We're not going to get more of the same. This is a new energy we're going into. Now, the energy that is being made available as a result of this will be a catalyst. There's lots of energies. They haven't discovered them yet. They don't even have names for them, but I'm telling you, they're coming out, and watch what happens over the next few years, all right? Now, think about that, and think about ONPASSIVE and how, for whatever reason, Mr. Mufara has this massively compassionate heart that has popped up and created this compassionate model, and these new energies that are coming in, guess what they are? They are catalysts. When you mark and when you mix them with compassion and the new energies, which are subtle energy, just like prayer is subtle energy, right? Just like compassion is subtle energy. It's a scientific term, look it up. These are subtle energies that will act as a catalyst. And when you mix them with compassion, it exponentially magnifies them. So that's when I say you don't even, you ain't seen nothing yet. So as good as you think this is, and I don't even know, honestly, if Mr. Mufara is aware of it. I don't think he's old energy at all. I think he's got a lot more going on that he shares with anybody. And it's exciting. So I won't talk any more about that, but just understand there are new energies that we're coming into that haven't even been named yet that will interact. They will mix with the subtle energy of compassion, and it will exponentially magnify what we're doing. So when I tell you with your beneficial, benevolent heart mindset, your compassionate action, that new energy is going to affect you personally, and you're just going to be like, Superman, Superwoman. It's going to be incredible when we start going into the future, especially into 2022 and beyond, the things that are happening. Because right now we still got some residual energy from the old great age, but and I know that I may have just clouded the waters. I'm sorry. I get excited about this stuff because
no worries.
It's science. I mean, it's provable, you know. But getting back, just understand that as a founder, man, you are sitting in the very best position you could possibly get into. And he is not kidding. When he says your life is about to change, it's going to change in ways you wouldn't have expected. Even if you sit back and do nothing, you will receive from this system that has been put around you. But ONPASSIVE is working for the world. Mr. Mufara's vision, his compassion, his leadership with the compassionate action that tells us to go out and to help and to look for ways. You think when he says we win bigger together, you think that's an accident? Absolutely not. We're in it to win it. You absolutely believe we are in it to win it. Is it a done deal? You can absolutely, it's done. We couldn't stop this if we wanted to. It is so much bigger than us as individuals that we can't even see how big it is. But man,
ano yung kasultanin nga o yung
good.
Sino yun?
It's okay. I muted them, Peter.
Oh,
Thanks, Lynn.
so yeah, being a founder is where it's at. That's where you want to be. And just relax in yourself. Relax in the knowing that you are part of something so much bigger than you might even think. You don't have to put a lot of effort into this. And that's Mr. Mufara's message. It's done for you. And so for us that seem to think, man, I've got to do a lot of work and I got to put a lot of effort in, you really don't. That's the old science saying I got to work hard at it to make something happen. And you're trying to create something from nothing by hard work. It's a lot easier to let nothing create something. So, and even God says that. I mean, he says everything you see has been created by the unseen. You know, there's nothing that you see that wasn't created by the things you don't see. And he's talking the spiritual realm. He's talking the unified field of potential. You know, he's even, I think it was Paul that says we've been given every spiritual blessing. And what he's saying is, as soon as you ask for it, it's made manifest in the field of potential. You just got to bring it to you. And the way you do that is get the intention, get the thought, marry it with an emotion of, all right, I've already got it, and it'll pull it to you. And that's where we're going. And that's how this is working. And you guys are in for the ride of your life. So get involved. Get involved at any level that you can within ONPASSIVE, because the journey is the beauty of it. The journey is the absolute excitement of where we're going. And the more you get involved in the journey and the vision of Mr. Mufara, the more you're going to start to understand, because you're going to start realizing, and you will pick up through your own intuition and through some of these energies what's going on. And one day you're going to wake up and go, whoa, I didn't know that before, but now I'm getting it. And it's just going to be fun, and it's going to be great, and it's going to be world changing.
Thanks, Matt. That's very educational. Very educational.
I'll have to do a video on it. I mean, you know me, I come out with some pretty weird stuff sometimes, but I try to ground it in science. And I would certainly recommend anybody, that information that I was just giving you, it comes from, there's a scientist, his name is Greg Braden. He's an archaeologist by trade, but he is an author of best-selling, I mean, this guy is brilliant, and he has figured this stuff out by going back to the indigenous, back to the Aboriginal cultures, the Mayan, the Toltecs, the Aztecs, you know, those people, and figuring this stuff out. And it's in a book called Fractal Time that I'll probably reference in the video. Obviously, Dr. Joe Dispenza has got some incredible stuff that would blow your mind if you were to read his story. I mean, miracles that happened to him, that why people haven't made a bigger deal out of it, I don't know, but he has gone on to much bigger and better things, and some of the stuff that he does. And there's another guy, Dr. Bruce Lipton. He's a guy that wrote a book. It's called The Biology of Belief. And let me tell you, man, he just really lays things out for you. And I mean, he was working with stem cells back in the 60s when it wasn't popular. And he was the one that came up with the idea that our genes are a product of the environment and controlled by the environment, not the other way around, or vice versa. And he lays it out so beautifully. And it's just all this science ever since we came into the development of quantum, which, you know, a lot of people think quantum is woo-woo, but I'm telling you, quantum's basic rule, and this is something that you can take to heart, because ONPASSIVE is founded on this. You can hear Mr. Mufara when he talks in between what he doesn't say. He's basically saying there is nothing that we can't do. And if we come up with the idea and we start thinking about it, then we can make it happen. And the law of quantum is, if you look for it, you're going to find it. And that is so simplistic and so beautiful. But I mean, it was proven with the double slit experiment. You know, it's like the observer, which is the founders, okay, equate that. The observer controls what's going on. The founders are the observer for ONPASSIVE. And Ash is saying, give me your ideas. I loved what he said to Papua New Guinea when he was talking to the young man there. He said, do we still need the road? You put 1,000 top techs in one spot, there's nothing they can't do. Do we still need a road? Why don't we put in a train? How about flying? That's where he wants us to go. That's how he wants us to think. Because you know what? Getting back with the sciences, on 3 fronts already, there are magnetic engines that literally, the only thing they consume is our gratitude and appreciation. They run for thousands and thousands of years. Magnetic. Seriously, I'm not talking solar or anything. I'm talking, there are things on the horizon. There are inventions that have not come out yet that are already, I know some of them. I know a guy that's got a company with some of them that can literally stop. They can stop the world water crisis if they get distribution within 5 years. And you've heard Mr. Mufara say, it's not about the abundance. You've heard my videos. It's not about, the abundance is there. What we're missing is the ability to distribute them equally, equitably, right? So it's not that we don't have $20 billion sitting over there. We do. It's in the hands of a few. What we lack is the ability to get it and distribute it. That's what the founders are doing. That's the reason the founders are here. The founders are going to be a distribution net of abundance, not only on the physical side, but on the mental and well-being and compassionate side. So I'm telling you, you guys, you got something to be excited about here. The world is changing, and you are on the front of this change. You are absolutely at the crest of this wave, sitting in ONPASSIVE, ready to roll over and get onto the beach of life. And I'm telling you, man, life is about to get real good for you. You don't even know.
Oh, that's great. Thank you for sharing it with us. Just maybe we'll kind of wind it down and allow people to ask some question if they have any question. But like, you know, from the beginning, you just said, since you're coming, you were brought up in a Christian home, so you have biblical perspective plus having science and, you know, sharing that it makes sense. But just by attending different webinars, I kind of noticed there are many who will make statements or share their stories, and one of that is like, oh, I've never had compassion before. I've never had this idea to give to the poor. But ONPASSIVE has changed me, has helped me to think like this, which I was never before. So what you're saying kind of makes sense.
Well, and you're absolutely right. There's a lot of people that have not had this. I mean, they know intuitively to do it, but we've been trained not to, because we've been trained that no, you don't want to give away what you got. You want to hoard and you want to make it all about me. And that's just wrong. That's a lower consciousness, a lower energy. And so what you're saying now, or what I heard you just say, was some folks are saying, I've never thought about doing it the other way. I've never thought about being compassionate or looking at the other person before looking at myself, providing for others before trying to provide and keep things for myself. And that's all part of this new energy, because we're able now to really to kind of lift our thoughts up and out of ourselves and get it out there. But it's not just excuse me, it's not just my Christian background. I mean, the world, I think 80% of the world says there's one God, and whatever you call that God, whether it's whatever religion, I mean, religion is religion. I don't subscribe to religion in a way, simply because I think it's a set of rules, and they want you to behave a certain way. But I am very spiritual, and I think that goes with the majority of the world's population, that we are spiritual. Well, and it may not be a specific religion, but if you're grown up in that religion, then that's kind of your perspective, and that's kind of what you can, that's your foundation. But you can grow on that, and you can grow out of that, and you can grow into what we're doing here. And this is exactly part and parcel with what ONPASSIVE is doing. And Mr. Mufara, there's just no way that I could ever, I cannot thank him enough. There is nothing that I could do to ever repay what he has done for me, and what he has started in me, what he has started here with ONPASSIVE, what he is doing with the world. There's just no way. The only way that I can come close to even showing my appreciation is to speak with you guys, to speak with the world, to go in and get involved with ONPASSIVE and become part of that machine that I call ONPASSIVE, because it's just so far above me that I don't even know how to respond. It's like, what do you do? I mean, this is it. Get involved, become a part of it. We're going to have good days and bad days. ONPASSIVE's got, you heard him, man. What about that finish line webinar, where he said, we're going to do these tours in the US, and then we're going to do global tours. And oh yeah, by the way, in October, we're getting some calendars, but I know I promised you a founders. We hit a few snags with that, a few things. I got lied to, some things. That is life. That is life. Every one of us go through this. We have good days, we have bad days, right? We go up and we go down. It's the ebb and flow, or what I call the cosine of life. If you have a sine wave, which is, a frequency, life is like that. Life is a sine wave. You got ups and you got downs. Move on. Accept it, understand it, don't judge it, and just move on. Be a part of what you are, be a part of what you want to become, be a part of where we're going. And I am telling you, you will have so much fulfillment. You will have so much joy in your heart, and you will have so much lifting and upliftment that you naturally will pour out to others. And, you'll bring smiles to, when you walk into a room, you're going to have a presence simply because of your energy. And they're going to go, wow, I like that person. Instead of when somebody walks into a room now, you're like, whoa, man, they got attitude. I'm going to get away from him. I don't know what that is, but it doesn't feel good. Remember the old, the Beach Boys, good vibrations. You're going to have some good vibrations, and people aren't going to understand why they immediately are drawn to you, but it's because your vibrations are overlapping theirs, and they can feel it on the spiritual level. And this is where we're going. This is like, man, life is about to get good for you guys.
Thank you very much, Jeffrey. I think, we've gone 1 hour now, so we'll just tend into answering questions if anyone has any questions. But it's great to have Marina with us. I think Marina's in the room.
Oh, Marina's here? Oh, awesome. Marina, if you can hear me, I am so sorry. I've been wanting to pick up the phone and call you, and I just haven't done it, man. And while we're waiting for questions, Peter, I want to thank you so much for inviting me. I love being invited. I don't go out and I don't try to, show up on every webinar. Of course, I missed some good ones this last week. I wish I could have made, but I appreciate very much that you reached out and invited me, because I love this. I love interacting. I want to hear your questions, and I want to talk. I want to hear your ideas, and Mr. Mufar wants to hear your ideas. ONPASSIVE wants to hear them, because they have got the technology and they've got the things put in place where they can make your idea a reality, right? And bring it right into the ONPASSIVE family, and then shove it out to the world and make it help lift us all up. So thank you.
More is so good. Yeah, Marina, are you in the house? I mean, are you still here? Maybe she must have left already. Just let me check. You can unmute and say hi, hello, if you're there. She must have left.
She's in the house.
Okay.
I see her. She's still here.
Okay.
Mhm.
Hi, Marina. Maybe she's away from her phone or laptop, maybe. You think so? So, Lynn, what did you think about Jeffrey sharing?
Well, what I hear in his message is that there are so many things that are aligning ONPASSIVE and all of us with something greater than we can envision. Human minds are limited in its ability to think what is coming ahead. So just, as Ash Mufara has said to us, what we think ONPASSIVE is, it is going to be much more. And I always think about it being millions of times more than what we think it's going to be. It's very exciting, Jeffrey. And we're in it for the ride of our lives, I believe. And as you said, we have to enjoy the journey. It's just not a destination. The official launch is a semi-destination, but once we get to the official launch, then we're on another journey. So it's just very exciting. And I think all of us here are blessed to be part of this company and to be founders or potential founders. If you're a guest here today, we hope that you will become a founder and get back to whoever sent you to this webinar to register. That's what I'd like to say, because you're going to have a time freedom and financial freedom once you hop on board and join ONPASSIVE.
Thank you, Lynn. Hi, Marina. You can unmute yourself and say hi, hello to everybody.
Peter, hello Africa, hello world. That was awesome. Sorry, as I was gonna turn my camera on, I got a phone call and it just lasted forever. So I was trying to do both. It was like, I can't multitask anymore. But this is awesome. I love listening to you, Jeffrey. You tell such a good story, and I'm just like intrigued every time. It really is. You're a good storyteller. And interesting stuff that you share with us, which I really, really enjoy. Thank you, Peter, and everyone that's here. ONPASSIVE is such a wonderful opportunity where, for the first time in my life, I'm 53 now, but this is the first time in my life that I actually feel like I'm doing something worthwhile, that I can leave a legacy for my children that they can finally be proud of. Being a single mother my whole life, it's been a struggle, but now I know it's taken a while, but I know in my heart of hearts that this is the answer, that this business is going to change my life, my family's life, my friends, my neighbors, my community. Wherever I can, I'm going to be able to do the things I've always wanted to. And, going forward, it's just such a breath of fresh air, knowing that we're on the verge of launching this tech giant to the world and that we are part of it as a founder. So if you are a guest, oh my gosh, you have to get in. There is absolutely no risk actually, with extremely high reward, because if you decide after 30 days that you don't want to be a founder anymore, this is not for you, or whatever the case is, which I doubt, our CEO will give you your money back. He only wants people that see the vision and that's got a heart for humanity, and that, visionaries. And, with visionaries comes leaders and people that's not just after doing things for themselves that are actually looking to do good for the betterment of humankind. So yeah, there's so much to say. When I get talking, I mean, all of us can vouch for it. When we get talking about ONPASSIVE, there's just never, you know, we could go on for hours and hours and hours and days on end. So yes, you know, this is not just another company. This is unique. It's disruptive. It's one of a kind, never been done before. Got a CEO with a heart of gold, almost 1 million founder accounts. That's already, you know, we so close, like 65,000 or 70,000 thereabouts, to reach 1 million founder accounts. And we are global. And this is true AI with heart. So come and join the family, because that's exactly what it is. This is the first company that I have ever been associated to or heard of that there is no religion, race, or creed that plays a part in it. Everyone is equal. It doesn't matter what your background is. You don't need to be tech savvy, and you're going to be earning residual income, which will, you know, just leave a legacy for generations to come. So I don't know what more to say, but it's just all good. You know, there's nothing bad. And like as Mafara said, our timing is perfect. We are on time. When you look at the magnitude of this business and what they're putting together for us, you know, they're working for us. Our tech staff is working around the clock with Ash Mafara for us, to give us a better life so that we can, you know, just rest in peace. So thank you very much. I loved what everyone else said as well. It's just really awesome. I love you all. Thank you. And I was so worried. I think I was number 100. I've been trying to get on. It kept saying capacity, it's full, whatever. I was like, oh no. And then finally I got on. I'm so glad I did. Thank you.
Yeah, great to have you. Thank you very much. Roger or Terry, is there any questions, anything like that at the chat? Pauline, can you check? It's great to have you all.
We have some people with their hand raised as well.
Okay.
Do you see them, Peter? There's 4. Would you like me to call them?
Yeah, we have hand raised. We have 4 hands raised. We'll start off with William Smith. Hi, Stephen. Sorry, Stephen.
I think good morning, good evening to all, whatever time it is around the world where you wonderful folks are. I just want to say how excited I am about the co-founders ONPASSIVE company. I'm really impressed with Mr. Mafara's vision. I am so happy and grateful that I have taken the ride of it starting from December 8 of 2018. From that time to this time, I can say without a shadow of a doubt that I am more than excited than the first day that I entered the doors. Looking at all of the growth of the products, the growth of the founding members. And I'm here in the Bahamas. We the Bahamian people are going crazy about ONPASSIVE. I want you to believe that. We are having our weekly webinars and so forth. And we're doing a lot of stuff to sensitize our community. That's the good thing about the ONPASSIVE company. It's given countries a vision and a perspective to look beyond what's presently in their countries right now. I can truly say that my future is set with ONPASSIVE. I am happy to know that I have something to look forward to in my future. And I was in myriads of companies. I've lost thousands of dollars. And I've been through the rocky parts of success. But I am so persuaded that I have found a home in ONPASSIVE. I'm keep on preaching this to all of the persons whom I would have introduced to this company. I am enjoying all of the webinars that I'm listening to from time to time. Mr. Jeffrey Morlock and all of Marty Gomados, Michael William those. I mean, they are doing a fantastic job. So I'm happy. And I want to say how much I appreciate all of my loving GoFounders ONPASSIVE family. I want you to know that I am so happy to know you all. And I'm very happy when I can see many faces to put the faces behind the names. Again, I want to extend on behalf of my Bahamas team to Mr. Mafara and family, a heartfelt love and appreciation and thank you for all that he is doing for our future and all that he is committed to do continually for us. Man, we are almost at 1 million persons. I couldn't believe it because when I first came in, it was just under 12,000 and I'm looking at that number and I'm still trying to find out if I'm alive or I'm dreaming. I don't know if this is true, you know, but and it's we're not even out the door yet. So I'm thinking now, my God, what is going to happen once the doors open? It's going to be an avalanche flood. I mean, we really need to hold on to our seat buckles because things are going to take off for us. And I just want to say how much I appreciate you guys and I'm enjoying every bit of your company and what you have to say and share. For those who are on the outside still looking in, I would admonish you to please hurry up, get in like yesterday, because time is of the essence in terms of where this company is going to be starting from in terms of all of the founding members being in place and the doors being shut. Could you imagine not having an opportunity to come in to this great company now for just under $200? I mean, it's I would say less than 150. And to let this opportunity go by, it will be a sad thing because when we look back and see what we would have missed out on, we will be kicking ourselves from here to thy kingdom come. So I say, I love you all and continue to be motivated, be excited about the GoFounders ONPASSIVE company. It's a company that is here to stay. It will not fail us. I know that. I feel that. I see that. And I believe in Mr. Mafara and his vision. And I just want to say, God bless you all. I love you all.
Thanks, thanks, Stephen. That's good. Lynn, who's next? Is there anyone? I'm just.
That would be Ramanand. Ramanand, please unmute yourself.
Unmute yourself, Brahman. Ramanand. Hello, Brahmanand. Are you there?
While we're
You
waiting,
unmute.
perhaps we could go to Gary Ellers of Cambodia in the meantime. Go ahead and then unmute yourself, Gary.
Go on, Gary.
Oh, I found the button. Everyone hear me okay? No
Yep.
problem. Okay.
We hear you
Hi.
fine.
I'd like to thank Jeffrey for his presentation or his comments. Very, very well done, Jeff. One thing I'd like to emphasize on for current founders and for guests who are here, don't be disheartened if you share, and you don't get people to actually join you because they just don't see the vision yet, or you haven't been able to explain the vision in a manner that they can actually grasp. But a lot of people who have been on the internet for a long, long time, like I have, for so long, I forget how long, I have, like a lot of others who have tried to make money on the internet, failed miserably. So I'm one of the key factors of the 98%. I've currently been in ONPASSIVE since October 2020, and I have not got one member to actually join my team. It's not saying I haven't been trying. It's the fact is that a lot of people have been burned so many times by the scams and the bright, shiny objects. And they just don't believe that there could be a new way. So eventually they will all come on board. But the main thing is the universe only knows abundancy. It's only us humans who think of scarcity.
Amen.
So it doesn't matter whether you have no people, like Jeffrey said, you are a founder and it will be successful. To have faith in the system, have faith in what the vision is, and it all comes from the heart. You've got a sharing heart, sharing compassion, it will succeed and so will you. So as a team, this isn't a program, this is a movement. And we're about to actually take that big jump forward where we're going to let the rest of the world in on our movement so they can gain and benefit from it. And I'm just so excited to be part of it. And once again, you know, I go onto a lot of webinars and I listen and I get a lot of feedback and a lot of information. I am living in Cambodia in a remote area with very poor internet access. In fact, I've had to come 138 kilometres to a town where I could get good access to be on this webinar tonight. That's just the way it is. I live in a province where there's rice paddocks and rice paddies, and it's very difficult to even get here. But I got here, and the reason is because if you don't get involved, listen to what people are saying, something will click in here, and you'll be able to say, yeah, I get it. So for the new people who are visitors here, please go back to whoever invited you. They really do care about you and they want you to be part of a successful future. That's about all I've got to say. So thank you very much.
Hey, Peter, can I comment on that for a second?
Yes.
Sure.
Wow. Gary, first of all, you are dead on the money. For those folks that don't have anybody and you've talked to people and they just don't seem to be joining your team, Gary's right. They're not getting it, and they're not getting the vision. And that's because what they're not getting, excuse me, what they're not getting is the new energy. They're not at that level. They're still down thinking of themselves, and they're thinking about people that are out to get them, and that nobody does this and it's too good to be true. Their thoughts are just low. They're just low energy, low frequency, that sort of thing. If you really, when you start talking to people about ONPASSIVE, if you get them to start thinking about compassionate action, get them start thinking about how they can be more than what they are by helping others become more than what they are, then they're going to get it. That's going to lift their thinking, and it's going to lift them into a compassionate thought life, so to speak. And then they're going to get what ONPASSIVE. That's when you got to bring their thought levels up to where you are, and then they'll join. So, and you're right. Excuse me.
Exactly.
We're in 212 countries, but ONPASSIVE has added a new culture to the world, and we have got our own culture. So when we start, if I could use the word indoctrinate, no, if we can teach people to be more compassionate, then they're going to get ONPASSIVE and then they'll join. So that's the workaround. If you don't have anybody, start talking to them about being more loving and more compassionate, and start coming up with ideas how they can help somebody. That will lift their thinking, and that'll put them on par with where you and ONPASSIVE are, and it'll be a natural migration from them to go to where they are into ONPASSIVE. That's all. Thank you, Gary.
Thank you, Gary and Jeffrey. Great perspective that you both shared. We're going to be wrapping it up soon, so we'll have William Delorme of Canada as our last commenter. Go ahead and unmute yourself, William.
Hello, everybody. As I was on the webinar on Saturday with Julie, and Ash was talking about the old founder site. When you log in, that a voice comes and welcomes you. As an example, you are so in it to win it, or something of uplifting you to have a wonderful day. So I was talking to Jeffrey about the old founder site was soft, and Ash mentioned it's like kissing marshmallows. So I'm thinking like have a wonderful marshmallow day, or we are so in it to win it. And I'm thinking I have other ideas like catching Catmull as a star. You're catching it in your hands, and you use old trim to trim it, to put it in your pocket, to save it for a rainy day. Things of that nature to have people have a nice day. So maybe Marina can help me with that, or Jeffrey, or Lynn, or because those kind of things are going to be different with around the world. So I've been in the hospital for 2 months and 2 weeks. So my voice is not very good at the present. So I would think maybe we can use other voices. Maybe Jeffrey and Marina and Lynn and other leaders can help me with that situation. I think I can add a few comments on the voice when the old founders is there to make people have a really nice day. Has
Certainly,
anybody
William.
got it? Yeah.
We don't have a lot of time left in the webinar, but certainly reach out to us as individuals, and we'll be happy to have a dialogue with you. Okay, William?
Yes.
Hey, Lynn.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Lynn, can I just kind of flesh that out for him to tell him?
Sure.
Take me about 30 seconds.
Okay, certainly. Go ahead.
Okay. What he's referring to is Mr. Mufara. In doing the old founders, he wants it to be a very good experience for everybody. So as soon as you log on to the new old founders, what he wants to do is have, say for instance, Mr. Johnson to come and go, hey, 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 right? Or maybe he's going to have somebody that says, you're in it to win it. He's going to have a voice message as soon as you log on that's going to be different. And what he's requested us to do is make an audio clip of what you think would be an uplifting saying, right? It's done for you, a done deal. Catmo all the way, hello, hello, whatever it is you want to do. And we want to send him an audio clip. So I would just recommend that if that's something that you can do, don't try to send it to him because he doesn't need 1 million of these. But if you can send it to a designated leader or leadership council member or webinar host, and let that host send them to him. But that's what he wants to do. He wants to get a collection of these, like William was saying. Thank you, Lynn.
Great. That's great, Jeffrey. What a way to individually contribute something special. I love it. We'll have our last commenter. His name is Stephen from Bermuda, and he's asked in the chat if we could just give him a couple minutes to speak. Evidently, he was not able to raise his hand. So Stephen, go ahead and about 2 minutes worth of comments, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lynn. I appreciate it. To all the founders that are here, Brother Jeffrey, I appreciate your wonderful words of wisdom. And I would just like to piggyback on what you've said. Mindset, the founder's mindset. There is a mentor that is very dear to my heart. He's passed away, but his name is Dr. Miles Monroe. He says that success is predictable. just like failure is predictable. I'll say it again. Success is predictable, just like failure is predictable. You don't believe me? You have a test for driving a car or an ordinary test. You hang out the night before with your friends, they tell you, look, don't worry about that test, you're gonna ace it. And you're drinking and et cetera and so forth. The very next day, you go to take that test, your driving test, you knock down all the parking cones, et cetera. And the instructor tells you, okay, that's it, that's enough, I'm heading off. Do you think that you'd pass? No way, no way on earth. So just like success is predictable, for instance, if Sir S, as I refer to him as, if he had hung around negative people, and they'd say, hey, that thing you're doing, you better put it off for another 5 years or whatever. Do you think that we will be where we are today if he hung around negative people? No, okay? I suggest to you that he's read positive books, he's listened to positive speakers, he has surrounded himself with positive people, and as a result, we are now enjoying ONPASSIVE, okay? As a result of that. So success is predictable. And guess what? Not only that, even if you do nothing, your success is still positive. Thank you, Lynn. I appreciate you. And from, oh yes, and from the little island of sunny Bermuda, I wish you all well. And you founders, you're doing an absolutely wonderful job. Keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's the end of our commenters. And now we go back to Peter, our host.
Yeah, okay, we just come to an end. Thank you, Jeffrey. Thank you very, very much for coming in and being our guest. I think we kind of accomplished what we wanted to accomplish tonight, and that is to encourage, motivate, challenge, and keep the momentum going. I think in the whole general ONPASSIVE community throughout the world, there's momentum picking up. And so we would like to encourage everybody to stay tuned. You know, there's things that are going to come up, you know, coming October and, you know, coming weeks. So we should all be prepared and having the right mindset. I think Jeffrey said it really well about our mindset. So that's about all, and good night and good afternoon. Oh, Jeffrey, you want to say anything? Another to close, or you okay? Okay, good. So we'll just close it here tonight, and thank you all for joining, and we'll see you same time, same link. Okay, we don't change that, so try to save that link. So we'll have another guest to come in and speak for us next week. Tomorrow, we normally have Tagalog kind of webinar, but we will not have it tomorrow. We'll have to postpone it to Friday because my daughter who does that, she has some things on tomorrow. So we've already discussed that with Terry. Is that okay? Terry will push it up to Friday.
Yeah, okay. I will put it on Friday anyway.
Yeah, it's the same time. Anyway, it's the same time. So
yeah, okay. And next week we have already our guest. Did I tell you the guest for next week?
Guest from next week. Let me check. No, not yet here.
Corinne.
Aha. Oh yeah. You told me, but I did not know. There's a confirmation already from me. Okay, that's great.
She confirmed for next week, for next Monday. So and next week we have sorry for today because I was driving. I just came back home and I was driving a friend to the airport. So sorry for today, but thank you, Jeffrey. Thank you all for coming. And we see you all next week with Corinne from Switzerland.
And who's after Corinne? Do we have anyone in schedule?
You told me that we should have some Papua New Guinean people.
Nancy's on schedule. Yeah, Nancy can come.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect.
Thank you, everybody, and have a great night, great afternoon, great day. Bye now.
Bye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Awesome.
Good night. Good night. Good night.
Good night.
Good
Thank
night.
you.
Good day. Good morning.
you.